junk. Another page finished. What? Yeah, dog. I just finished this bad boy up. Page 7 of Lone Wolf. Legends of the Lone Wolf, now on Indiegogo. And guess what? I said yesterday was the last day of the Werewolves and Unicorns Kickstarter, and I lied to you. I messed up. I don't know what came over me, but for some reason, I don't know math or something. I thought yesterday was the last day, but today is the final day. We're less than 24 hours away. At midnight Central Time tonight, it'll be the end of the Kickstarter, so you still have some time to go get your book. All right, so it is Thursday. And I thought that, I already said this earlier, but I thought that the last day, I mean, I knew it was going to bleed in, like, I don't know, the times are different, but for some reason I thought the last day of the Kickstarter was yesterday, but it's not, so my bad. Which also means I haven't been able to actually pimp it to comic book shops at all, because I didn't, my car broke down, so like I was just kind of focused on trying to figure that out, and I wanted to get the little flyer things printed up and the little booklets that Mike created, and bring them to comic shops, and I never was able to do that, unfortunately. So there's one more day left, and I actually kind of have a chance to stop at least my local comic shop. And he already said that he'd buy some, so I just got to make sure he knows about it and tell him it's the last day, and hopefully he will, buy some. He even said I could do like a book signing at some point, which is really cool. So yeah, that'll be fun. I've never done that before. Tell you one thing, I'm a little bit nervous. I don't know why, even though I have like a friendship with this guy. Like, I mean, not like I only know him, I only talk to him at the comic shop, but it's always, I'm not great at like talking to people. Like, I talk to you guys, but in real life, in person, sometimes it's a little weird. I'm not used to talking to people and saying, hey, will you buy my thing? I guess I've done it at conventions and stuff, but when I'm in a convention, I'm like in convention mode, and even then I'm, by the time I'm done with the convention, my energy is just drained. The life is drained out of me. And usually it's just a one-day show, but I'm just not, I'm probably an ambivert, meaning I'm both an introvert and an extrovert, but I definitely lean more towards the introvert side, and I'm a pretty quiet dude usually, which you guys probably don't realize as much, because I'm very vocal and talk a lot to you guys on these YouTube videos and stuff. But if you knew me in real life, I guess it depends. I don't know. Like, if we're talking about comics, I'll talk your ear off all day. But like, if we're just in a regular situation, I might just be like, quiet for the most part. I don't know. I'm all right at talking, but I might surprise you with the introvertness I am sometimes. Especially if I get in a group. I'm better like one-on-one than with a group, I think. But anyways, I don't know if they'll have any comics for me. I have a pull list here for I get every alternate title, here, and usually they only ship Alterna like once a month. Diamond is just a pain in the butt like that. It's not the shop's fault, it's Diamond. Diamond sucks. Sorry, but they do. Anyways, so yeah, they're technically not open yet, I guess, but the lights are on. I'm kind of tempted to go in there and see, but maybe I should just keep videoing so I can get this video done too. So let me just think. I did have kind of a topic. I don't have much to show for werewolves and unicorns because I showed the poster and I showed a little bit of every single story. Hopefully you guys are digging it. But what I did have to talk about is I was actually just listening to a show, and they were talking about how important social media is to kind of selling your comics, and a lot of times I tend to, in my mind and stuff, kind of downplay social media because I think there's a lot of time that can be spent on social media that's wasted time. But at the same time, I'm probably more on social media than a lot of people I know who make comics, because I do at the same time kind of believe in it. And this person on this show was saying, that's where it's all at, really, is social media. Like, if you can be popular on social media, and they brought up the point, like, PewDiePie right now, like, he's one of the most technically famous people in the world right now. He just goofs around on his channel, really. He's not even doing anything like super substantial necessarily, but that is important. Having that kind of goofy fun, is also a part of what helps us to get through life in this world, so it actually is kind of important work that people do, even when they're just stupid and goofy. So anyways, he was just making the point. He's like, PewDiePie could just get like thousands or millions of paper planes made and just sign them, and he would sell more than any comic, Kickstarter or Indiegogo, including, the most successful ones, in like a day, probably. So he's just making the point that, it's actually more like this work I'm doing on YouTube and other people are doing, is not just like, oh, we're just having fun and that's it. Like, I don't know, like, to me, I wouldn't do YouTube as much if I didn't love it so much. I just do happen to love YouTube, the whole platform, and I enjoy, making videos and putting them out there and interacting with you guys. But, at the same time, I technically, when I'm making these YouTube videos and stuff, could probably count it as comic work to a certain degree. And they were making the point also that you actually don't even have to necessarily be good, in my opinion, God forbid, but, you don't even have to be good at writing or drawing a comic. You just have to make an internet presence that gets popular, and it doesn't matter what you sell, it'll sell, Now, I don't, I'm not saying this is what we should, now we should all just do stupid videos and try to get followers and forget trying to make cool comics. I don't believe in that. Like, I want to make cool comics. I feel like it's important. Like, that's what I was basically put on this earth to do, like, I feel like it's kind of, more of something I have to do, even though it's also something that I want to do. And it's just, there's kind of no question, I want to make cool comics, and I have kind of a level of quality I want to get to. And I don't necessarily want to be the best comic book artist. That's one thing I don't want to be. I don't want to be somebody who gets the anatomy and perspective right every time. Because actually, that, to me, that kind of comic is boring. It's clinical, it's whatever, and I don't need to have the most detail, but I do like to play around and mess around with detail. So who knows? I'm not sure what my style will evolve to be yet. I kind of feel like it tends to go in the direction, towards the direction of something like Jake Parker, or Bill Watterson, or Doug TenNapel, or something like that, like where it's kind of a sketchy, cartoony style, but has a little bit enough realism that is interesting too. So I don't know, that's just where I feel like my style is naturally going, maybe, or at least that's what I like. And it's weird though, because sometimes I draw like that and I really like the results, but sometimes I draw in a different way that's just, it's weird. I don't know how to explain it. I'm still in a very awkward phase of my style. But anyways, also in writing, I think my quality control kind of aspirations with writing is more where it's at for me. Like, I want to write good stories. Like, whether I am good at art or not, I want the stories to be good, And I'm not where I want to be in story writing or in comic art yet, but I'm working to get there, and I love improving as an artist. I'm not reaching for perfection as an artist, but I am reaching for dynamicism. I'm reaching for design, like good design, like interesting, dynamic, appealing design. I'm reaching for just whatever makes a page look awesome. I'm reaching for clear and attractive storytelling. That's like my main goal. And then with writing, I'm reaching for emotion and putting forth messages that are of substance, but also having a ton of fun with it and entertainment value. So that's what I'm reaching for. I do want there to be appeal. I'm not making comics, to be like abstract and stuff, and kind of these, I don't know, like kind of alternative style, underground style comics. I don't think that's awesome, and I think that there's room for somebody to be successful with that kind of thing, who really knows how to do that well, but that's just not what I'm shooting for. I do like kind of a pop appeal, while at the same time, having kind of some artistic clout or integrity, or I don't know what the right word is. Like, I like the art of it too. Like, I don't want to forsake the art and craft of storytelling and making comics. That's all wrapped up in it's all wrapped up kind of together, and it's all important to me. So anyways, that's never going to stop being my goal. That's just who I am. But at the same time, increasing the social media more and more and more, and coming out with shows that are entertaining, that maybe don't even necessarily relate to comics, or relate in a different way, in kind of an ancillary way, I think is something that can help your career in comics, if you're looking to do that. I wouldn't be surprised, like there could be like a makeup guru type who also likes to make comics, but they also are into makeup or whatever, so they could do like a makeup channel and get really popular, and then they sell their comics that maybe it's a romance comic, or it's like it's somehow related to the makeup industry, or maybe it's not that related, but it still kind of appeals to that audience in some way. Like, I don't know, it's possible to build some kind of platform that's not 100% directly related to comics, and still sell your comic. So I'm just saying, like, think out of the box. One person who's doing some cool stuff is Matthew Enstrom. He's been doing like these shows, and I'll be honest, I haven't even watched one yet. I want to. They're like, I keep remembering and then forgetting. But he's been doing these shows, having like different guests on, and I guess it's like a review of like an old like horror or sci-fi movie or something. That's a great thing. Like, my friend Foy Storm, he's really into horror stuff. Like, what if he just did shows about the horror genre and then put out a comic once in a while? Like there's so many different things. Like Gaz Gretzky, he's doing a shows about Power Rangers and stuff. I don't even watch those shows because I'm not that interested in Power Rangers, and I miss just Gaz's vlogs and stuff, but I bet you he's probably getting more traction with those shows, and good for him, and hopefully that's bringing people closer to want to buy his comics who are more in, kind of that audience that he's kind of directing towards, the kaiju audience and stuff like that. So, there's so many different ways to kind of do these things, and you don't want to go outside of what you're comfortable with and what you're interested in, but you do want to try to increase your social media, I think. And that's not the only way. You can totally ignore social media and still be successful in comics. There's a lot of back end stuff that has to do with selling books and stuff. You could sell books on Amazon without even having a social media presence and make tons of ridiculous money, if you kind of learn about how Amazon works and things like that. So there's a million ways to kind of crack an egg, but I happen to like social media. I happen to really like YouTube. So there's a great advantage to it. If you do like it and you do have some cool, interesting ideas, go for it and make the best thing you can. And kind of parlay your comic in the mix. The only thing is, the reason why I don't really do any crazy shows usually, and I want to, but I don't know if I can, is it takes time to produce an awesome show. Like if you're trying to do certain things with a lot of edits and maybe some extra stuff, so that takes time away from you making your comic, which is that's when it gets kind of difficult. So that's why a lot of my YouTube content tends to be like very directly centered around actually making comics. But if I can find ways to kind of entertain people in that realm and just bring value in some way, shape, or form, there's no reason why I shouldn't do it. And if I can do it in a way that also allows me to have time to make my comics, then that's, I think, a good thing to do. So anyways, just some thoughts on the matter. I'm not really saying you should do this or shouldn't do that. There's a lot of different ways to approach it, but I think that we shouldn't forget that we have a great opportunity here with social media, if we can get good at it. So right now I'm gonna head in there and see if I could sell these anthologies, the Werewolves and Unicorns thing. I'll hit you up in a minute when I'm done. Alrighty, so I just came back. I didn't confirm a definite sale as much as I wanted to, but he seemed very positive about it. I think he was, concerned about, they've been buying a lot of collections lately because people have been coming in with actually good collections with good like old stuff in it and whatnot. But I already have like a friendly relationship with the guy, so like, it's very possible that he will. And then the guy standing in line next to me, he's like, oh, you got a Kickstarter? And I told him all about it, so he's like, oh, I'll check it out. Like, he seemed like he wanted to buy one too, so that's really cool. Like, I kind of had like, I told him all about the challenge and stuff. That was just fun. Like, it's kind of cool, like having, again, social media, doing these YouTube videos. I'm used to the spiel about 100 days of making comics, and it's like, it's hard to explain if you haven't explained it a million times. Like, you might stumble over your words, but I was just like, oh, bam, yeah, it's 100 days of making comics for 100 days in a row, 30 minutes each day, and you work on your project, and the whole spiel that we've talked about before. So that was kind of really cool to kind of be able to easily tell people about that. So yeah, I don't know, I'm hopeful that they'll get the retailer package and get the stuff in. But one thing that I know that he wants to, but like he just has to see if he can hack it or whatever. And he did get the pamphlet from Mike, so that's cool too. But he said, regardless of if I can get it or not, I was serious about you coming in and doing a signing and stuff. Like, I didn't even have to bring that up again. So that's really cool. So I'm looking forward to doing something like that, and hopefully he buys some stuff from the Kickstarter. That'd be like awesome. All right, so that's that. Here's another look at the awesome poster from Karen Lewis Bonfiglio. I mean, this thing is amazing. This is so cool. Hopefully you guys have gotten in on the Kickstarter. Once again, 100daysofmakingcomics.com/Marshall. If you want to help me get to my goal, but also if you want to help us get to the goal, it's pretty cool. And you know, Scott Circlin, who made this cover right here, he just did a live stream doing this awesome, like, kind of hybrid unicorn werewolf creature, which I thought was super cool. He did a live stream and you know, just kind of promoting the Kickstarter. Like I said, this is the last hours left. I think we only have like 10 or 11 hours left before the Kickstarter is finished. So you guys got to get in there. help us to get there. It's going to be midnight Central Time. Midnight will be the end of the Kickstarter, so definitely go check that out. And please, again, like and share all this stuff. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. And yeah, hopefully you guys dig it. Thanks for watching. You guys all rock. I'll talk to you later. Peace out.